Welcome back to the Warehouse Podcast, everyone. My name's Elijah. I'm here continuing to do this podcast. And, we have talked about the Orioles' struggles. We have talked about all of the reasons why we should not be enthused right now. But just when we are at our lowest, the Orioles do something to pull us back in a little bit. And they've done that this week. The Orioles took two of three from the Yankees. They did it in kind of a ridiculous way, like a substantially negative run differential. I'm doing some quick math in my head. Yeah, so we still had a minus 10 run differential across the entire series. So don't want to say it was conventional, don't want to say it was domination or anything. But taking two of three from the Yankees team that is on top of the AL East feels pretty darn good. Um, there were some good things to look at. I I do have a share, like a screen share going here. I'm gonna pull up a couple things, but this is one of the best ones to listen to in just regular podcast form, because we're gonna talk a lot about vibes. We're gonna talk about kind of the emotions that govern, individual players and a cohesive team, and we're gonna talk about sort of the vibes with the Orioles right now, what might be changing, and a little bit of what we saw this week. Um, with that said, no sponsor today. You can thank the Warehouse Podcast for this production of the Warehouse Podcast. And yeah, we'll get right into it. I think probably the first place to start is on Monday before the game. It sounds like Cedric Mullins went ahead and pulled Ryan O'Hearn aside and said, "Hey, dude, we need to shake this up a little bit. You and I are two veteran guys. Like, everyone knows what Mullins is to the team. Obviously, longest tenured Oriole right now. Um, but Ryan O'Hearn kind of has this reputation as a hard-nosed dude. The grinder mentality is kind of his mantra. He's sort of a man of few words. I don't think that he's ever been super, super expressive. Um, and I think that, Cedric, you can kind of say the same thing. You can say that he's somebody who is not super, super vocal on the bench. So I think that these two guys in particular coming ahead to pull everyone together kind of shows the gravity of the situation, shows that, when these two guys felt the need to open their mouths and say something to take control of the clubhouse a little bit, things were in pretty bad shape. One of the things that was most, I guess, most striking to me was they talked about just the entire team being quiet for the entire season. Guys, it's not that they weren't into the game. They're professionals, they focus, they will always be into the game in some extent, but they just weren't bringing the same energy. They weren't bringing the same kind of I guess, it's a little bit jovial. It's cheering. It's, like going and greeting people when they score runs, are making their way back in. It's that sort of camaraderie, companionship, aspect of a team that just didn't seem like it was there quite so much. And that's not to say there was any internal conflict, but that is to say that it's incredibly difficult to stay happy and stay energized and, I guess motivated, not just for yourself, but for everyone else throughout the course of a long season. And I know we're only in the first month, but it's been the same for us fans when you are losing all these games, when every game you are fighting from behind in like the second inning. I mean, it feels like every day drags on. It takes so, so long to get through it. And it's very difficult to really blame guys for somewhat, falling out of it, not being totally emotionally invested, not being just really I don't know, not being the best teammate in a way. And I'm not saying that to knock people. I'm not saying that to say anyone was an inherently bad teammate, but the good teammates go above and beyond for this kind of thing. The good teammates really, really get after it, and are vocal and are in your face even when you don't want them to be. Um, and that's what Cedric Mullins and Ryan O'Hearn were getting at here. And so one of the things that came out of this, hilariously enough, was they ditched the the fish celebration, like reeling in a fish on second base. Melanie Newman had a funny quote on her Twitter, and she said one player just said, "Yeah, that thing sucked" or something like that. So the stupid fish celebration is out, and they brought back the faucet, the sprinkler, and obviously the Homer hose. The hydration station was still there, and retrofitted, or maybe got a new outfit this year, I should say. Um, so they kind of brought back the old celebrations. It seems like the team was genuinely more vocal. You could allude to a certain Ryan O'Hearn phrase in the dugouts. uh, for those of you, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, I'm glad you do. For those of you who missed it, um, I'll give these initials SMFB, and those were floating around all over social media, uh, multiple media sites, I should say, and kind of became an anthem of sorts for Orioles fans for a total of about 24 hours. Uh, it's like it's kind of that game felt like a bit of a reassertion of the personality of this team, felt like a bit of a reassertion of, like how tight this group of guys had become over the last couple years. And they went out there and played for each other, and walked away with this super, super gratifying 4-3 win. It wasn't, I'll say, like a dominant performance. It was a Ramon Laureano double in the second inning to score Jackson Holliday, a three-run bomb from Ryan O'Hearn, and then the Yankees made it a little bit tight. It just Aaron Judge is always involved in every scoring play, I feel like. Well, until we talk about the next game, but um, and Aaron Judge force out a Anthony Volpe double and an Austin Wells double, and that last one was, or the last two were in the eighth inning to make it 2-4 and 3-4. So, Felix comes on, gets the save, and it cannot go understated how good Tomoyuki Sugano was in this game. Uh, this is the form of Sugano that we can only really dream about. It's not valid to do anything. I guess even more than dreaming. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like this is the ideal form of Tomoyuki Sugano, and you can't really expect it of him every game. But this was just so, so electric. I wanted to pull up his pitch locations while I'm here for this game. Um, and but really, I mean, the thing to just notice is that, you know, I mean, his splitter in particular was electric. For those of you on video on YouTube, you can see these locations down to the arm side. The sweeper, like staying all glove side. The four seam was playing up. He was getting whiffs there. He was dropping in the curveball, like backdoor two lefties. That was actually pretty effective in some ways. Um, just really, really like phenomenal command of every pitch. He racked up 8 Ks on the day, which is, I, man, I'm gonna make a claim. I think that is more than half of the Ks he's had on this entire season. Okay, I was very close. So he's had 17 strikeouts on the year, and 8 of them were in this game. So he only had 9 through his first 5 starts of the season. And sure enough, yeah, he comes away with 8 in this game against the Yankees after this team meeting. Um, I mean, man, gives up only 5 hits. So he goes 5 scoreless for us, and the bullpen really does pretty well. Gregory Soto gave up a couple runs. It wasn't ideal, but did not pitch too terribly. Had an up down in there, um, and also I just remember like another high fastball that he just did not get the call on. That guy has had a miserable time with umpires this year. But yeah, still like expect Gregory Soto to be just fine. The dude's got great stuff, better stuff than last year. And yeah, Felix gets 2 Ks in the save. It felt like a cohesive, just simple, good game of baseball. It's the type of game that you expect a normal team to play. Just a normal baseball team. And the Orioles, I need to I need to make something very, very apparent. The Orioles are not a good baseball team right now. I'm just gonna look at standings here, right? The Orioles are 12 and 18. The Chicago White Sox have a worse record. The Miami Marlins have the same record, and the Colorado Rockies have a worse record. There are no other team. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh Pirates do as well. Um, that's only because they played more games, though. They also have 12 wins. But there are no teams that are respectable in any way, shape, or form. Again, those names that I said are the Chicago White Sox, Miami Marlins, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Colorado Rockies. Those are the absolute bottom feeders of Major League Baseball. And every single one of them, well, I'm sorry, no other team besides them has a worse record than us. Even the Los Angeles Angels at 12 and 17 have a better record than us. Um, and they're on a 5 game losing streak, and we just took two out of our last three. So they were ahead of us a couple days ago. It's really, I mean, it's depressing. And so seeing a baseball team come out and just take it to a good team, like a strong start, solid bullpen work, a couple clutch hits, it's just like it was just a good game of baseball. And it's felt like so infrequent that we have done that. And I remember walking away from the first game of the Tigers, the one where Casey Mize beat us, and just thinking, that felt like a normal game of baseball. We didn't go down 4-0 in the second inning and the game wasn't lost after 18 minutes of play. Uh, those are kind of like what we've come to expect because it's been so tough so far. Um, and this was not that. This wasn't a game where it felt like it got away so fast. And so you felt really, really good about it. You had this rallying cry from Ryan O'Hearn, even though he didn't know it. He didn't know he was being filmed at the time. But man, I mean, it felt so good. And again, the game did not feel like it had gotten away before it even started. And that is my segue to the second game of the series. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but you kind of have to because it's just such a novelty item. Um, I told you the Orioles walked away with a -10 run differential in this series. Man, I guess I just need to I need to say it very plainly. So the game started. Kyle Gibson is on the mound. We were all like, man, it's going to be so nice to have him to stabilize the rotation. I'm just laughing at our own misery. Kyle Gibson comes in to stabilize the rotation and proceeds to throw a ball, Trent Grisham home run, Aaron Judge home run, a strike, if I remember correctly, and then a Ben Rice home run. So 5 pitches into the game, the Yankees are up 3-0 on 3 solo shots. It's just one of the most unbelievable things you could possibly imagine. And you're like, wow, that was crazy. This is going to be rough. He gets Paul Goldschmidt to ground out. And then, sure enough, Cody Bellinger comes up and hits a solo home run. And you're like, oh my God, it is 4-0. And I said 18 minutes into the game before. Now, like, this is like, I mean, this is not even 10 minutes into the game. We're down 4-0. And the guy who was supposed to stabilize us, who was so much fun a couple years ago, Dad Gibson, all this, eh, man, he looks like crap. He looks so bad at baseball right now. Looks like he genuinely does not belong on the same field. So sure enough, Jazz Chisholm then doubles. Um, makes it to third base on a fielding error, they say. He hurts himself a little bit, but then Anthony Volpe doubles to bring home the pinch runner. Um, there is a ground out, another single, and then a ball that Trent Grisham, and remember, Trent Grisham started the game with a home run. Trent Grisham comes up as the 10th man, hits an absolute seed at Cedric Mullins, which is thankfully caught. But I mean, you again, you're 15 minutes into the game, and you're like, what just happened? What happened? I mean, this was like, just dejection. Just this was resigning to your fate. This was the most depressing kind of, I guess this is just what we are. That's what everyone was thinking in the moment. Like, man, we had a fun time yesterday. Wasn't that great? But now we're back to reality. This is what the team is, and this is it. And so, man, I don't know. It just immediately, like, yeah, bottom of the first, Cedric struck out swinging. Adley Rutschman grounded out. Volpe made a really nice play there. And then Gunnar Henderson lines out. And then, sure enough, like two batters in, um, Ben Rice homers on a fly ball to right field. And what's so crazy is I was sitting there and I was like, man, well, on the upside, because there is no upside for the Orioles in this situation, but on the upside, my fantasy team was doing great, right? Trent Grisham and Ben Rice were both on my fantasy team. We had two bombs from Ben Rice and a bomb from Trent Grisham, and that was only in 2 innings. So, yeah, we're down 5-1, but my God, it's like fantasy team's going off. So, I had a little bit of a saving grace, and I pride myself on being able to yank myself away from the negative emotions. So I think I was able to do that a little bit. Uh, but man, this was just brutal. Yeah. So Kyle Gibson ends up going 3 2/3. He gives up 9 earned runs, 11 hits, 2 walks, only 2 strikeouts, 5 home runs. Um, I do remember Dean Kramer giving up five in, man, which start was that? In one of his starts earlier this year that tied like an Orioles record, or it was the most since a Bruce Zimmerman start was what it was at Boston. And sure enough, Kyle Gibson came in and almost did it in 1 inning. So pretty impressive. Shout out Kyle Gibson. I do not think he'll be that bad going forward. He is going to keep pitching for us because what the heck else are we supposed to do? Again, literally everyone is hurt. There are like no other starting pitchers on the 40-man roster. Um, Matt Bowman, this poor guy. I mean, Bowman came in after Gibson, and I just want to shout out Matt Bowman because he he man, it's like if you are getting Matt Bowman and CNL Perez, you know that this game is going awfully. Those have been the two mop-up guys this year. We haven't had a true long guy until the person I'll get to in a second here, but Matty Bowman's just been getting run out there over and over and over again. Um, and eventually one of these days he was going to not have it. The dude's crossfire delivery is actually like it's been very effective this year. It was good for us last year as well. You got to be happy that we found a way to keep him around this offseason for this moment. So yeah, shout out to Matt Bowman. Keep doing your thing. He gave up 3 runs in this one, but I'm not even stressed over it. Like if you keep running somebody out there every other game, eventually they're going to blow up. It happened in this game, but we were already down 9-0 before he came in. So what does it really matter? Um, but I think maybe the more notable thing, other than Matt Bowman, uh, I will concede that Matt Bowman is not the highlight of the Orioles' misery. Charlie Morton comes in out of the bullpen. He had pitched on Saturday. Uh, is that right? This was a Monday game. He had pitched on Friday. He had Saturday and Sunday to rest and came in and threw 2 1/3 and did not give up an earned run. He did give up a run. Um, 3 hits, 1 walk, so 4 base runners in 2 1/3 and punched out two. I don't want to say it was like wildly encouraging, but it was significantly better than anything else we had seen from him. Did get some whiffs on the curveball. We do see the 2 strikeouts. It's better. It's better, but I think it's important to note that he is in the pen now. I think that will likely help us. uh, you know, what do you even say about this stuff? I'm like trying to evaluate the pros and cons of Charlie Morton moving positions. Like, of course, it's good he's not in the starting rotation. Is it good he's in the bullpen? I don't know, but next time we need a long man, next time we need someone to eat up 3 innings, Thankfully, it will not be Matt Bowman and Ciano Perez. So, shout out Charlie Morton for going and just, I don't know, being a guy who will suck up some dead time innings after we get down because Kyle Gibson gave up another nine spot or whatever. So I do think that Charlie Morton is going to be working on things in the pen. I do think that, the intent is certainly to get him back in the rotation and try to get your money's worth. Um, we'll see what happens. I did some interesting like data diving on him. I put that podcast out. I made a hypothesis as to why like some stuff wasn't working, why the curveball was getting no whiffs. But I think the other thing to say, and maybe, I was too interested in like finding some minute, detail of something that changed, something that reduced the overall effectiveness of the profile. But he also like that. I mean, I did mention it in there, but the command has just not been good. He has left too many hittable pitches over the middle of the plate. Nothing works when you do that. Aroldis Chapman can give up a home run to Jose Altuve in the playoffs, and cheating stuff aside, but Aroldis Chapman has some of the best stuff in the game. It is possible for him to give up bombs. Like major league hitters, if you put stuff in the middle of the plate, they will hit it. It really is as simple as that. So seeing Charlie Morton put up a couple Ks here, no earned runs. Again, there was one run. It's a positive. Definitely need to see more before we'll trust him anywhere near, uh, near the first inning again. But that said, not really anything super positive offensively here. It's just kind of, man, yeah, it just is what it is. I am closing that tab. We're moving on to the third game. In this one, we've got Cade Povich against Carlos Carrasco. Cookie, that is Carlos Carrasco's name. Cookie Carrasco is not all that great at baseball anymore. He had an incredible career, mostly with the team now known as the Guardians. Um, and, by all accounts, super well liked guy, has had a lot of trials and tribulations throughout his career, has come back from a lot of stuff. And to see him still out there is awesome. I'm sad it's for the Yankees, but, I'm glad he's got a job, he's getting paid, and he's doing what he loves. Um, Cade Povich was not so sharp in this one, but he was, I guess, uh, outdone in the negative way by his counterpart. Aaron Judge, I said he was just involved in everything. I need to stop here. I know this is a podcast that is almost exclusively listened to by Orioles fans, but I feel compelled to say this. Aaron Judge is the best hitter we have seen since Barry Bonds. I do not want to just gas him up, in some kind of empty way and just because I love the Yankees. That's clearly not it. This guy is, I mean, in very, very tangible, concrete ways, one of the best hitters we have ever seen. He is certainly, Barry Bonds was, uh, I guess, his crazy 2001 to 2004 run. I was 6 to 9 years old. So while I theoretically remember it and I can picture him on the TV, at my parents' house growing up, I like, I'm going to be talking about Aaron Judge when I'm in my 60s and 70s because he is that good. And, all respect to Bonds and everything that he was, but pitching is so much better than it used to be. I mean, pitching is so much better. And I think Barry Bonds could absolutely compete in today's game. He'd be phenomenal. But we didn't see him do that. And Aaron Judge does that. And I mean, the guy is so incredible. So all I am trying to say is like in the way that you should try to put your Dodgers hatred aside to go watch Shohei Ohtani every once in a while, you should try to put the Yankees hatred aside and you should watch Aaron Judge every once in a while. You should, listen to the other broadcast because Michael Kay and them are awful and they're just Yankees, homers who just love the team and everything. And that's what, Kevin Brown is for us. That's fine. You don't have to listen to all that. You can just watch good baseball. So, anyway, I'm done talking about him, but sure enough, he takes Povich deep in the first inning. Trent Grisham scores again. Top of their lineup just continues humming. Um, but man, Ryan Mountcastle hit a home run in the bottom of the second, a two-run shot, and I don't know whether I was encouraged or discouraged by this home run. It's lovely seeing Mountie pull a fly ball, but man, this was like a slider in off the plate. Like it was an attempt at a front door slider that didn't get back to the plate. And so it's just like yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can call anything a bad swing decision when it ends up in a home run, but my God, he's swinging at this terrible pitch, like off the plate inside, and he's got the bat talent to do something with it. And this is what I've been saying about Mountcastle. He's so frustrating because the bat talent is unreal. He's got bat to ball skills, he's got elite bat speed, he just swings at terrible pitches all the time, and now he's getting rewarded for it with a two-run home run. So I don't know if I want to encourage that or if I should I don't know if I should be fighting it a little bit mentally. Um, but yeah, Ramon Reyes, hits another shot. Adley brings home Gunnar Henderson on a single. And the Orioles take a 4-2 lead that they do not uh, ever give up. In the fifth, Yankees and Orioles each trade one run, makes it 5-3 game, and the Yankees score one more in the seventh. But I think the most important thing to point at here um, is just Felix Bautista. Felix, I mean, you cannot talk enough about how truly, truly talented this guy is. Um, I want to pull up some data. So I earlier this year I talked about, as he was starting to come back, I brought something up, and that was in the pitch tracking era. If you go and you look you know, at every pitch and you look for the least drop on a pitch, and now to just I guess to back up a little bit, every pitch drops. It looks like some rise because they are fighting gravity in such a way that kind of tricks our brain. We expect it to be falling. Every projectile follows a parabolic trajectory toward the earth. And we expect that. Our brains are calibrated to that. That's what we, consider normal. And so something deviating from that can look like it's actually rising, even if it's not. But Felix Bautista's fastball is the closest thing to something that doesn't drop. And it's so funny because, it's by all definitions a sinker. That's what it's classified as on Baseball Savant. It is a pitch that, people use to get a lack of vertical, a lack of vertical movement. They want it to like kill vertical movement. They want it to fade. They want it to fall. Um, and Felix just uses it in such a way that is so unique, but it drops. And to be very specific, Felix Bautista's sinker drops less than any fastball in the history of pitch tracking. This dude's fastball, he throws it 60 feet 6 inches. Well, really, I mean, he's got big time extension, so less than that. But let's say he's throwing it 54 feet, and this thing is dropping like 7, 8 inches on average. Um, no player in the pitch tracking era, I think, has thrown more pitches that have dropped less than 7 inches, which is this insanely elite bar that I think only Felix and like Pete Fairbanks have actually reached. Um, but I mean, this fastball it's ludicrous what it does. And it defies physics in so many ways. That makes it this really, really special thing. So, what is so powerful about his fastball splitter combo, for those of you watching with me, the difference in horizontal movement, and I talked about this with Dean Kramer back in the day, but the difference in horizontal movement between these pitches is on the order of 4 or 5 inches, something of that sort. It's really, really not that significant. Maybe 6 inches, I'll give it. Um, and what's stark about that is, you have these two pitches. If I'm a batter, particularly a right-handed batter, I'm seeing these two things coming excuse me, on this same line toward the plate, this same angle. And the only thing that's happening is the splitter is just kind of doing it more slowly. And that's really hard to perceive, right? Just perceiving depth is very, very difficult. So that's why, I guess, to take it one level further, you'll hear oftentimes that sweepers are very, very like ineffective pitches to opposite-handed hitters. And the reason that is because in order to land it for a strike, you need to throw it essentially off the plate away from them. And so in that way, it's almost like I get to stare at it as though it's moving across in front of me as opposed to coming at me. That's really what we're trading off here. Something coming toward you or something moving, perpendicular to your field of vision. So I, in that way, it's much, much easier to perceive. A car driving past you, you can say, oh, that thing's moving pretty fast. Something kind of coming toward you when it's far away, the relative speed of that thing is kind of a difficult thing to judge. It's just small and then it's big. Um, and that might not be the perfect analogy, but it's the best I got right now. So, but the point is, it's very, very easy to perceive a difference in left to right when this ball is coming at you. And it's much easier to perceive than a difference of forward to back as the thing is coming at you. Um, I guess, yeah, it's the difference between looking at two cars in two lanes or two cars kind of stacked on top of each other. Um, so I think that, it's this really, really stark contrast between the two pitches. You're gearing up for this fastball that is just taking off on you. Again, I mean, this thing just looks like a laser beam. It just feels like it doesn't fall at all on the way to the plate. It looks like it's rising because it tricks our eyes. And the splitter, is 10 miles an hour slower and just, I mean, it drops an extra, let's say 18 inches. I mean, it's demonic. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. You have to pick that thing up so early and then slow your entire body down and then proceed to lower your hands a foot and a half in order to make contact with this thing. So Felix's stuff, like we've talked about the velocity a little bit, how it's not quite back. It does look pretty good right now. Um, and he is throwing the splitter as hard as he ever has. And I think the other thing to say is in this game, Felix hit 99.3 miles an hour. Obviously, we've seen him hit 102, 103, so it's not absolutely, absolutely all the way back. But that is, I mean, that's dominant, dominant stuff. And if he never gets 103 back again, we'll be okay because 98 is ridiculous. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just great to see the dude back. I do think it's worth, um, if you have not seen it, go and like look at the video of his last strikeout. I mean, it's just so beautiful striking out Trent Grisham like that. I am going to look real quick to see if MLB's got one for me. They do not. Man, I was going to show it to the people on YouTube, but you'll have to go look it up for yourself. Um, oh, no, I got it here. Yeah, I mean, it's just beautiful stuff. It's like this electric fastball, 99.3 at the top of the zone. And, it just instantly goes into an Adley hug. It's just everything that it was supposed to be. This is how the Baltimore Orioles are supposed to be finishing baseball games. I mean, the thing is electric. It's on the outside corner. It's at the top of the zone. Again, 99.3 miles an hour. Felix needed 10 pitches to work through. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm going to pause this video on the hug and I'm going to end it there. I think that, oh man, I should say the other thing I wanted to say about this game, real quick. There was a little moment where Heston Kjerstad this is like a little bit funny to me, but does kind of go along with what I was talking about earlier. Like I think Cedric and Ryan O'Hearn were just like trying to pull some emotion out of the team, trying to say like, no, just feel it, like experience this, be in the moment, and like just give this your all, like be there for it, show up every day, and give what you can. And I don't I don't know if that talk somehow like got Heston Kjerstad's adrenaline rolling, but during this Wednesday game, there's a it's a weird play. Like Kjerstad is running, steals second base. It's kind of a high throw, and Pablo Reyes jumps up to make the catch and kind of falls, like straddling Kjerstad a little bit on his head. And Kjerstad, takes exception to it and starts drawing with him. And the bench is clear, which was totally ridiculous. Kjerstad wasn't like going at anyone or anything, but I don't know. Like objectively, it does like it was Pablo Reyes had no other course of action. He jumped up, he caught the ball, and gravity was going to bring him back down. In the same way gravity fights Felix Bautista fastballs, Pablo Reyes was fighting gravity, and he came back down, and that's what it was. He spread his legs so he didn't step on his head. Um, but he like had to squat and stumble a little bit, and it was just an awkward play. But Kjerstad took exception. I don't know. There is an element of like the Orioles that like they're supposed to be scrappy young guys like who frankly are a little bit hot-headed. This is the reason we like the Gunnar Henderson walks. This is the reason why we've loved Big Game Dean when he comes and throws a shutout against the Astros. And of course, I'm using like a reference from 2 years ago at this point because it's the last good thing Dean did, but he didn't deserve that. I'm sorry, Dean. Um, but we like you love to see some fire from your team, and Heston Kjerstad just kind of like put that on himself. He's like playing with a hot head. Of course, the Yankees hit him last year and gave him the concussion that brought him out for a while and made him somewhat less effective when he came back. So he's got particular reason to take exception with this team. But, just like I think the passion in general is a good thing to see. The that little bit of fire, that little bit of just extra like, no, we are here, we're doing it. It's a very vibey thing, but you definitely like, and I will say this is a difficult thing to talk about because frankly, we don't know what's going on in the clubhouse. We don't fully, as fans, what we see on TV is not truly reflective of everything or anything really. Um, and I think that the people who are on social media talking about this, will like overstate the importance of their observations on TV. I think that that's just kind of the case. I think that this team has been close knit. I don't think that there's like discord in the dugout. There was another thing, like every player that they talked to about Brandon Hyde recently has stuck by him, has said, no, we fully support the skipper. He has control of the clubhouse. This is not a situation where people are like giving up or anything like that. And I fully believe that. I think that if you're watching on TV, there's reason to believe otherwise. But I don't trust myself and what I see on TV above the people who are there and doing it every day. Um, and those were players on and off the record. I remember Nathan Ruiz, I think, jumped into the conversation. And he's not even a beat writer anymore, but he said a couple years ago, everyone I interviewed, like Brandon Hyde is loved in that clubhouse. And I think it's very possible that a manager's leadership is not always the thing that was going to do it. I played on teams, some college teams where like we struggled with this. We like would have a senior class that was extremely talented, but you didn't necessarily have those player leaders that were going to come and unite a team to like go into battle that day. Um, and you need that. Like the manager frankly sometimes cannot bring that out of you because he's 30, 40 years older than you are and can't relate to you on the same level, right? I mean, sometimes you just need somebody who is your age or a couple years older talking to you like a human being and leveling with you to an extent. Um, and so I think, we saw some player leadership on Monday. We didn't see the team meeting or anything. Obviously, it's private, but we heard reports of some people kind of taking a stand. We've seen a little bit of fire in multiple different ways. And ultimately, the Orioles took 2 or 3 from what is a contender for the best team in the American League, as much as we hate the Yankees. And as as flawed as they are, that's the reality of it because the rest of the American League is just as bad, including us. So, this is the competition. If we want to do it this year, that's who you have to do it against. And the Orioles did it this weekend. You have to be excited about that. Just when they are letting you slip away and enjoy your summer, they pull you back in for a summer filled with anxiety about the performance of the Orioles every single night. They have pulled us back in for a little while at least until Charlie Morton's back in the rotation. But smiling through the pain. It's a laugh so you don't cry situation, of course. uh, for real this time, that is all I've got. Go and hug somebody the way Adley and Felix hug, and I will talk to you next time. This has been the Warehouse Podcast. As always, if you could support us in any way you feel comfortable, not like asking for a Venmo or anything like that, just, like like the video, like the podcast, rate the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast, all these things. These are things that help us. Um, and we do very much appreciate them. We appreciate you giving us this little bit of your time. Um, yeah, man. We won a series. We won a series. It could be looking up. It could not. The rotation's still in shambles, but we're gonna get through it. I think that's all I got for you. Everyone have a good night or morning whenever you're listening to this. I'm gonna have a good night. I'm gonna pack to go on a little trip this weekend. So you all take care of yourselves. Let's go O's.